Hey, everybody. Great Monday afternoon. It is I, Dr. Anissa Short, again, another episode of Conversations with Chosen Pen. Thank you so very much for carving out time in your day to watch us live or to catch the replay. And in doing so, I am asking, as I always do, that you like, comment, and share. And our goal is to grow more and more in 2024, and we cannot do it alone. So, thank you in advance for joining us. Thank you in advance for your comments, your feedback, and for sharing this platform with those friends and family members near and far. Once again, we are continuing with our series of the summer reading series. We have one of our very own today that you're going to have an opportunity to either meet or be reintroduced to. But before I introduce her and our conversation begins, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who came out to our August 3rd event, the Kids Book Tour. It was the first that we hosted, and we're hoping for it to be a yearly event. So stay tuned. We'll tell you more. We had children book authors there. We had other vendors who provided services or products for children. The children had a ball with kids karaoke and face painting, and the Fayetteville City Fire Department came out. So the kids, including the big kids, had an opportunity to get on the fire truck and learn a little bit about fire safety. We even had the fire dog, which I called Marshall the whole time. I think I got Paw Patrol confused with him. But at any rate, I got a chance to take a picture with him. He was there. Dr. Pam Gurley was the is the CEO and founder of Brown Girl, Brown Boy Kids Tour, the Literacy Foundation. And of course, this event had an emphasis, a literacy emphasis. And so there were very pieces of the puzzle that came together to make this event a success. It was the very first that we had hosting. And as I said before, we hope this event will become an annual one. We're going to change the date, however, because we found out that weekend it was bananas in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Everybody was everywhere in Fayetteville. So we had a lot of competition, but nevertheless, it ended up being a great opportunity for people to get exposure, to meet each other, to build relationships. And we're looking forward to this event again and again and again. As I already shared with you once before in our previous broadcast, Chosen Pen will be hosting its very first literary awards. And we're accepting books from varied authors, self-published author, indie authors. We want you to submit your either book of work of fiction, nonfiction, your book of poetry, your young adult books, and or children books. It's a $25 submission fee for each book, but you can include a book in every category if you so desire. Submissions are being accepted now through September 7th, and then during the first weekend of December, we're going to end our year with a festive event, the Literary Awards Gala. We're going to dress up, look pretty, have a red carpet, and we're going to be celebrating and recognizing those top first, second, and third place winners in each genre. So if you are an author, if you know an author, go to our website, chosenpen.com, for more information. Get your book submitted now so it can be considered. We're excited to have Cyrus Webb is our master of ceremonies for that event. It's going to be a grand occasion. I'm calling it a miniature version of the Oscars is what I'm calling it. So we hope to see you there. So without further ado, let's move into our conversation for today. We have, let me tell you all, I'm just going to say this. Miss Colette Harrell is someone that I met, I guess, maybe 3 years ago. I call her my very own. I call her a beast when it comes to editing and coaching, because she was the one that was responsible for helping me to pen my very first work of fiction. And I could not have done it without her. I thought I was pretty good at writing. Anyway, that's a whole nother story, but she's good at what she does. I'm delighted to have her today. She's been engaged in a lot of activity. Over the past year or two, things just took off running. So we're going to learn more about it. So Miss Colette, thank you so much for being a part of our series this summer. How have you been?
I have been wonderful. Thank you for having me. It is always a pleasure to connect with you and Chosen Pen, my other home. So it's just been amazing. It's been opportunities coming. And as we talked about earlier, I am spending my time this year in 2024 building for more here at home.
That makes sense.
So I'll steal a little of your line there. And, I'm building here, building some infrastructure for my business, Colette Harrell Literary Events. And then, as you've already noted, I'm a developmental editor. I am a book coach. And so I'm working with several clients now that we're getting their books ready to launch. And I'm also doing ghostwriting.
Oh, wow.
And so, and in addition to all of that, I am an author myself, and I have have a trilogy coming out. One book is coming out this month, and the other two will be out. One will be out before the end of the year, and then the third one will be out in the first quarter of 2025.
I'm excited about your trilogy, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But I want to double back because one of the things I know, I think I became acquainted with you through Dr. Norma, who unfortunately could not be here with us. You all say a prayer for her. She's going through some challenges, but she's overcoming. And I know that I knew you to be very engaged with the forgiveness retreats with her, but then I knew you to be an author. And then, of course, when we did the writers retreat, then I became acquainted with you in your other role of developmental editor, right? And then even in the workshops that we had, the writers workshops, specifically the one in Jamaica, I don't know if it was because of the blue water or the beautiful sand or just the fact that we were at a gorgeous resort. But when you start spitting out, sentences or content, I was like, oh my God, I love the way she thinks. If I could just get half of that superpower. So you are gifted in so many different to your gift is expressed in so many different ways. That's a beautiful thing. And right before the show started, we talked about how our gift is to make room for us. Let's
That's
talk
right.
a little bit more about that, because I think that's important for our audience, is that a lot of times we limit ourselves because usually that which you can do that comes to you relatively easy or that people think is so remarkable and you go, well, it's just easy for me. That's a gift that's been given to you. And that gift can serve as the catalyst for your territory to be enlarged. Let's talk about that a little bit, Miss Colette. Tell us
That's right.
share with them what you shared with me backstage.
Well, first of all, let's start with what you started with in terms of a person having multiple gifts and being able to write down all those gifts. And sometimes we don't realize how many things that we have been gifted with. Sometimes we take our own shine for granted, or we take our shine and we put it in the closet. And what I was saying was that when you have this many gifts, when you are, and you are also gifted. I mean, you're writing and you're a speaker and you're a motivator and you're a businesswoman and you help other businesswomen. You're a business coach. And I could go on, and I probably haven't hit everything you're even doing in the ministry. But what I do understand is that many times our word says your gifts will make room for you. So if you're not operating in all of your gifts, you're in a room too small.
Oh, that's good.
And so you have to allow yourself to grow into a larger room and go boldly to the throne, because that's what we're charged to do.
But
And then
we become afraid because sometimes that's intimidating. So
it
we
is.
we will stay in our comfort zone and we won't shine as bright as we were intended to shine because we're afraid to step out. Is that fair to say?
I think you hit it on the nose. I think we get very intimidated we get intimidated by people, we get intimidated by places, and we get intimidated by thoughts. Okay. So a lot of times we intimidate ourselves. We're so in our own heads that we can't do the things that we were meant to do.
That's
And I
good.
like what Miles Monroe said, and I've used this before. He said that we were charged to go to the grave empty. And I love when he said that the cure to cancer was in the grave, that there are so many things that went to the grave because somebody wasn't too intimidated, too afraid to step out, too afraid to stretch beyond what they thought they could do, that they took their gifts to the grave. And it is, I think, all of our missions to go empty.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love
we
it.
should be rattling bones. We should be
I
like,
know,
hey,
right?
nothing to see here. I left it all on the
All
table.
on the table. I love it. So I remember in a conversation you and I had a while back where you talked about how once upon a time in your area you were doing stage plays, and you and a friend had there was an entity that was created, and you had stage plays that you hosted, and you drew a large crowd and things of that nature, and then you kind of kind of folded up the folder, snapped it closed and put it to the side. And then you got into writing more so just writing your books. And now it sounds like you have gone full circle and you're right back to where you started. Tell everybody a little bit, as if being a wife and a mother and a look, do your grandchildren call you Gigi or
They
Mimi or
call me
grandma?
honey.
Honey, if it's needless to say, as if being a wife or a mom or a honey is not enough, you do
Mhm.
a lot, and it's all within the sphere of your gift. Let everyone know how that works, or what you do, what's been going on with you, Miss Colette. You've been keeping real busy, so tell us a little bit, a snippet of what you've been up to.
Well, like I said at the beginning, I'm writing. My newest book will be coming out this month, Chasing Different. And as you know, because you know my style of writing, I write in layers.
Yeah.
I don't write one story. I have several different storylines going on in any story that I do. So this one has been a delight. It's been a challenge because I want to do justice by the people that I am featuring in the book. And
Mm-hmm.
so that is one thing. That is a trilogy that's coming out. As you know, Mama Blues from the book we did together, I have written into a screenplay.
All right.
So I'm honing my craft on that for that to be at movies. I need all y'all to collectively pray movie, movie. So, that's coming. We want to make that happen. And as you said, because I did the plays, it wasn't a really big jump to the screenplay, but there
Mhm.
was some learning that had to be done.
Right.
And then I'm doing developmental editing where I'm helping other people craft their nonfiction and fiction books. And then I'm also, in addition to that, book coaching. I can say that I have been in several classes. I'm in a wonderful group with a group of women in Author Ever After, and I'm learning a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that when we don't know, we don't do.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I want to encourage people to do, even as I'm teaching, I'm sitting in someone's class
Oh,
learning.
that's excellent. Oh, I wish you could say, I need you to say that 3 or 4 more times. And the reason why is because a lot of times I have come into contact, and I've not been engaged in the literary world as long as you have, but I have noticed that there are some who have a story that they want to share. They want to write the book. They want to do what's necessary to get the book published, but they don't want to do the homework that's necessary to self-publish it adequately. And then they don't want to invest. So you're going to either invest time to do the work, to do the studying, to do the class, or you're going to invest the money to learn from someone or get someone else to do the work. So they either put it on the back burner or they submit some things that does not represent the level of excellence that they've been called to.
And
So
I'm gonna stop you there because you gave the two elements, but I don't think it's or. I think
it's
it's and.
and I love it.
You're gonna spend the time and you're gonna spend the money.
Yes.
Self-publishing, people tend to believe we just put things on a sheet of paper or we just sit down and type and then we just put it up on Amazon and boom, we're gonna make a lot of money. That is not how it works. It is a
And
lot of
no,
work.
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a discipline because there's no one sitting behind you saying, hey, are you done? There's no boss checking you every day. You have to
Yeah.
do your own work. And then the other part of that is in order for you to do it well, you're going to need an editor. You should
Mhm.
have two editors, not just the developmental editor, but you need a copy and line editor. And so, there are spaces and places that you have to take that book to. Marketing.
Yes.
There's promo stacking. Do you know how to promo stack? Do you know keywords on what to put so that people on an SEO can find it? What about your website? Have you created a website that people can go to and connect with you? So there are multiple places and spaces that we have to excel at when you do self-publishing.
And I was going to say Dr. Colette. Maybe I'm prophesying. Okay, Miss Colette. So here's the thing: when you made reference earlier about your gift should make room for you, but your room is not large enough, is it fair to say that the growth, the enlargement of the rooms, come with your willingness to take the time and make the investment? Otherwise, you'll always be stuck at the beginning.
Yes. Yes, you've hit it. You've hit it as you begin to hone those gifts. because they're gifts that are given to you, but we expect iron to sharpen iron. So we expect for you to learn how to make that gift grow and
Right.
bloom
Right.
so that others can take hold of it. And
Right.
so, there's so many gifted athletes, but they're working 10, 20 hours a day.
Yep.
We're looking at the Olympics. I mean, Simone Biles, you saw her comeback.
Yes.
She worked really hard, and not only worked really hard physically, but mentally and
Mentally,
emotionally
emotionally,
to come back.
exactly. Exactly.
So this takes all of you,
Every
right?
every bit of it. Every bit of it. But it's worth it. It's so worth it. I can remember when we were working on the project with the book, The Gift of Freedom. And of course, you were my editor to help me with the process. And I remember you saying, you are a good writer, but we got to get you you got to switch this, you got to start writing from the other side of your brain or something like that, you said. And the thing that was so funny to me is, as I said, now as much as I have read novels all of my life, I can be immersed in a storyline. I know the colors and the feeling. I get captured. I said, why didn't I think of that? I already knew. I knew, but I didn't know. But it took you and Dr. Norma as well. It's taken both of you, but especially you with regards to this project to say, stop, you stop, stop telling it, you show and not tell. I was like, I got so sick of that phrase. But the thing is, I said all that to say this is that in the process, as I went along, I was like, oh my God, it's coming together. Ooh, I got excited. So now I have a gift and a new crease in my brain that no one can take from me because I was willing to submit to the process. And I remember
Mhm.
you said, I don't want to be harsh. I was like, give it to me, Miss Colette. I'm ready for it because I want to get better. And that's what people have to be willing to do. They must be willing to be better and take the necessary, make the necessary sacrifice and investments to get there. Otherwise, they won't represent like they should. I want to get to your project, but before I do, I have a question. Miss Trizia Wallace says, Miss Colette, what inspires you to write?
Oh my goodness, everything, everyday life. I think having been retired as a social service director, I saw so much every day, and I talked to so many people. And sometimes I was allowed to see the happily ever after at the end of their story when they had received all the services that they deserved and that they needed. So everyday life inspires me. People inspire. I can talk to someone on the phone and it sparks something, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so good. They might just be telling me a story, and then I'll take it and twist it and bend it. And by the time I'm finished, it's something different, but it's that spark that gets me going.
That was the inspiration, that whatever they said. So
Hmm.
let's talk about your book. Now I've got a picture, or at least I had it. I hope I didn't lose it. The first of the trilogy.
Yes.
Why a trilogy, Miss Colette?
I couldn't tell it all in one book.
Oh my goodness.
The story, as I begin to write, I'm writing about not only a romance and a thriller, but I'm also writing about sibling connections.
Okay.
And as I began to write, I began to feel like it was all one sided.
Mm.
I was telling people Nia's point of view and what was happening with Nia when there's another person, there's this other sibling, and we needed to make sure that we told her story too. And so that ended up being finding different. And then
Mm.
and then Deacon, who is the male protagonist in the book, his parents had such an awesome backstory that the third book we're actually going to the very beginning, and it's almost a prequel, but it's the third book, and it is Loving Different.
Okay, so let's start over. So I'm taking it that you got two sisters. This is the story of two sisters, right?
Well, it's actually the story, it's actually the love story of Nia and Deacon. Deacon is neurodivergent. And this is that spark, that inspiration. Uh,
Okay, wait a minute, Miss Colette. Did you just speak in another unknown tongue, or
and I'm about to.
I'm gonna need you to translate for the common people that are watching.
Okay. So what it means is that, and I try to use the technical terms because in some of the community, in the neurodivergent community, the spectrum
I
is
got
a
you.
no-no.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
However, I have family members that are neurodivergent and they have no problem with using the word spectrum.
I gotcha.
So I use it, but I use it sparingly.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so Deacon is on the spectrum. And I wanted to give him a love story. I wanted to give him a love story. I wanted him to be the hero. I wanted him, so when Nia gets into trouble, Deacon is the one that comes to her um, rescue. And Deacon, unbeknownst to her, he's just different. He's just a little weird. He's just a little quirky for her. He, unbeknownst to her, is a geneticist, and he also is a millionaire. And so he's very gifted. He's just not gifted in the social niceties. He's socially awkward. And so her being able to lean on him at this time and them having to go on the run from some very bad people is the title, Chasing Different.
Gotcha. Okay, so I see this now. And you know what? I want to add this caveat to your storyline is that Deacon is not is not an abnormality, honestly. We have a young man that's connected to family who grew up in his mom very brilliant, just a brilliant mind, socially awkward, but I mean just brilliant. And now he's an adult as an engineer with NASA,
Oh, wow.
in leading in a lot of different areas, right? I mean, he's still socially awkward, he's better, but what his mom decided to do as a child was to work on his strengths and help him with the areas where he may not have been as strong. And so he still, still has a awkwardness about him, but he's excelling. He's excelling. So I love that you added that element to the story. Now, so Chasing Different is the love story. They come together, and then you mentioned a sister. Now, this sister is another piece of the puzzle, right? Is that right?
Yes, the sister is another piece of the puzzle. The sister, excuse me. Okay. Love you. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's Finding
My
Different, right?
grandchildren are leaving.
Oh,
So yeah. So in actuality, the the sister, which is Finding Different, as you can see her, the sister is also she has mental health issues.
okay.
So she actually has a split personality. She's a black
Mm,
ops agent, and her regular personality is Sincere, which her nickname is Sin. So
mm-hmm.
you already know she's a little different.
Uh-huh.
And then her assassin name as a black ops is Pop. So this is all about Finding Different. In the first book, she is part of the rescue team for her sister. And in the second book, the people were not happy. And so now they have a vengeance and a vendetta against
Oh,
her in
wow.
particular.
Okay.
So that's how we end up with Finding Different.
Okay. All right. So Chasing is being released this month. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then Finding will be released by the end of the year.
Correct.
And then Loving Different, which is the third of the trilogy, is going to be released in the first quarter of 2025. Is that correct?
And that is correct. And because the name of it is Loving Different, it would be wonderful if I could get it done by Valentine's.
Oh, that will be. And my birthday is in February, so I would actually love for Loving Different to be out in
And
time for
there
my
you
birthday.
go. There you go. And it's
So,
actually the story of Deacon's parents, who are an interracial couple. And his father was raised in a survivalist camp.
mm,
And he had to overcome all of his isms in order to fall in love with Deacon's mother. So I want to go back and tell the story of why these two brothers, one white and one black, have all of these martial arts skills and all the skills they have from their father, who was raised in a camp and then who overcame hatred and learned how to forgive to fall in love with this woman and for them to have Deacon. So
wow.
it's a really romantic story, but it's also a story of overcoming hatred.
One of the things I love about your books is that and when I tell you I have the way you think is just like blows my mind, because you bring so many descriptive elements. You bring so many, like you said, layers to the story. You just couldn't have a man and a woman fall in love, no, one has to be on the spectrum, another one is running for her life, her sister is an assassin and she got a split personality, it's just juicy good. But that's the beauty of what you do. And one other thing I'll say that I love about your books is that the underlying messages, it's always something beneath the surface, that there's an underlying message to all of your books, whether it be forgiveness or the importance of love, or it's some principle that you manage to weave into the storylines. And if you know this principle, it's gonna be visible. But you have a very gifted way of getting that word out. Tell us why that's important to you, Miss Colette. I know it's intentional.
Because I think that happily ever after should always end up with us being better people.
I love it.
And so my thought process whenever I'm weaving a story, it's always an inspirational thread within the story, and I always want to give people a moral compass to go by.
I love
So
it.
whether it's a shoot 'em up or bang bang, I still want to show right from wrong.
Or even devil made me do it.
Yeah, yeah. So because we know he didn't make you do it. We know you
Right.
made some
It's a
choices
choice.
that
It
were
was a
ill
choice.
advised, but at the same time, how do you get away from that
Exactly.
journey? How do you switch
Exactly.
tracks? How do you make a path that is different than what you first started on?
Right, right, right. That is so good. So good. So let's say there's an aspiring author out there that they have a manuscript that they've been scribbling on for years and they just hadn't made the leap, they hadn't made the jump. Or maybe it's a self-help book, or maybe an inspirational journal. It could be any genre of book. What would be your bit of advice to that person who they just hadn't made the next step? They need to make the next step.
Make a decision. I mean, sometimes we make it really hard and we want that golden nugget. Make a decision.
I love it.
Because when we make decisions, our choices make choices for us. Once we start to believe that this is what we're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
then we begin to take all the necessary steps to make that happen.
That's true.
But sometimes we start on a path that we haven't decided we want to be on.
Yeah.
And so we end up putting it aside and we feel like we lost our way. Well, you really didn't. You just hadn't made a decision. You hadn't lined it up in your heart that this is what you wanted to do.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. One of my mentors once said that when you decide, you've cut off all other options. So when people find themselves vacillating, they haven't really made a decision. When
Mm-hmm.
you and if you back up, you really didn't make the decision, because when you actually decide, you cut off all possible options. There are no other options when you've made the decision. It's just a decision. So, and it takes courage to make a decision. It takes, an internal fortitude. But if we're going to grow more and more in 2024, we have to make a decision, right, Miss Colette?
Oh, absolutely. I just love it. I love it.
All right, so I have the information here about how people can get in touch with you. Of course, your stores, your books are usually available on Amazon, but people also can find you at ColetteHarrell.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's COLETTE Harrell, HARRELL.com. So your books, I'm assuming, will be made available there. Any of the events that you have going on will be made available. All of that's in one place. Is that good, Miss Colette? Is that
That
good?
is all. That is all on one place. If you go to my events page, very quickly, I have an event coming up at the end of the month. I have 8 tickets left for that. So if you want to learn more, come to our writers brunch and hone that craft. And then other events that I'm attending where I'm doing book signings will also be on that page.
Okay, excellent. So thank you again, Miss Colette. It's been a pleasure, as always, to have you in this space. I'm excited for what you're doing. I'm really excited to see all the things that have developed You said I have to build at home, and of course that's a biblical principle, Jerusalem. So you building in Jerusalem, you making your impact there at the house, and because you've done so much away from home, so this is your season to build and to inspire and to encourage and to be visible at home. And so you're doing a great job. We are so proud to know that. I'm so honored to know you. And so when I get ready to write my next novel, whenever
Jeez.
that is, I'll let you know.
Well, you have the gift now, so let's go. You can't
I'll,
lay you
I'll
can't
have to
lay
come
that
up with.
pen down now.
Yeah, I gotta pick up something to write. I gotta do something to write. I know I would there. You're the only person I'll let beat me up because I get better when you beat me up.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna make these people think I'm horrible.
No, you're not. She's
She's a
excellent.
great writer. She's a great
Excellent. She's
writer.
an excellent coach and an excellent editor. And so I wouldn't have it any other way. I really wouldn't. Miss Colette, thank you again for saying yes to being our guest today. And for those of you who are watching, don't forget every Monday at 6 p.m., we're right here, same time, same place. And we do plan to have another phenomenal author for you to meet on next week. And until then, don't forget, like, share, comment. Be sure to pass this message on. And we want to know what you think about all of our episodes. Give us some feedback. You are our community, and for that, we say thank you. We're grateful to have you in our space. So, without further ado, have a marvelous Monday evening and have a great week.